Okay. So today I am going to talk about how can we create a new domain controller. See, in order to do that, what we have to do, we should have the prerequisites. What are the prerequisites? See, the Active Directory domain controller can only be installed and promoted in the server operating system. In order to create a domain environment or a domain controller, you need to have a server, newly built server operating system. And that is the reason I have newly built a server called RDC01. It is my root domain controller 01. That is the naming convention I have given. Okay. Let me log into the computer, virtual machine, and I'll show you what is the operating system, all those things. Okay, this is an 2019 operating system. Okay, if you want to see that, just go to the command prompt and type a command called winver, Windows version, and you see it is a Windows Server 2019 data center version of an operating system. So we are good. Now the prerequisites to create a domain controller are the computer should have the proper naming. Let me check what is the name. If you type a command called host name, you will see the name of the computer. And if you look at here, inside the operating system, my computer is named as server 01, but at the VMware console, if you look at here, my virtual machine name is RDC01. So what I will do, I will have the consistency, hence I will try to rename this computer, okay, to the same which is visible in the VMware console. Host name, this is my server 01. Now let me go sysdm.cpl. If you type a command called system domain management.cpl and if you hit enter, you see you will go to the computer name options, and there you can see an option called change. You can click on the change option here, and then you can start renaming your virtual machine. My computer name is RDC01. Okay, and you see this is still in the work group, it is not in the domain, because if it is a domain, you need to click on this domain and you need to add the domain name here, but I am not doing anything here because this server is still in the work group state. Okay, environment, click on OK, and now the computer will get restarted. Okay, because the renaming, registry changes, or any application installation and uninstallation will definitely need a restart, because that happens at the kernel level, at the library level the changes happens, and that is the reason restart is mandatory in order to get the change reflected in across the kernel and the libraries. Okay, let the machine get booted. After that, I've already told you in the beginning of the class, before you hand over any server to the production, there are certain prerequisites validation. Correct now? First one is properly renaming the virtual machine as a computer, and you already renamed it. You can see my computer name is RDC01 at the uh, at the VMware console level, and also if I want to verify at the operating system level, if you type a command called hostname, see it is renamed properly. The name of the computer is RDC01. Then I am good. Now the second thing is I need to make sure the IP address is correct. Then I should type a command. What is the command, guys, to see the IP address?
ipconfig.
Yep, I can use a command called ipconfig, and you see you will see the IP address of the VM. See, this is the IP address of the virtual machine, and 192.168.190.10, and I want to verify whether it is uh, DHCP given or manually assigned. If you see, if you run the command ipconfig space slash all, you see here, when you simply run ipconfig, you only found IP address, subnet mask, and the default gateway. But when you run the same command with slash all switch, this is called switch, slash all is a switch, then you see multiple information. What are all the multiple information? You can see what is the name of the computer. Okay, you can see whether I mean the MAC address or the physical address of the computer, and you can also see whether the IP address is a DHCP enabled, yes or no. And it says DHCP enabled, no. That means somebody manually assigned the IP address. When it is say no, that means the address have been given manually. How to verify? Just go to ncpa.cpl and you look at the network interface card here. Double click on the network interface card, go to properties and go to IP version 4, and you see the address been added manually. My address is 192.168.190.10 is there, but I would like to make it 30. Okay, so because I always give 30 to the domain controller, and that is easy for me to remember, and that is the reason I have given 190.30. And at the preferred DNS also I will give the same, because I am going to convert, I am going to create, or I am going to install a DNS role also in this computer, and that is the reason will also act as a DNS server. I told you yesterday, DNS and Active Directory both are integrated. Without the DNS, Active Directory will not work, and that is the reason, since that DNS is also getting installed in the same server, this server will also act as a DNS server, and that is the reason at the preferred DNS server I am adding the same IP address 192.168.190.30. Okay, so let me click on the OK button, and now if I go to the IP config, you see my IP address got changed here. Earlier it was 192.168.190.10 was there, and now it got changed to 192.168.190.30. So I am good now. So all the prerequisites are correctly matched. Okay, and you can even see the time zone. Time zone is also okay. It is Indian timing. It is 7:45 a.m. I am very much good now. Now, before I go to the installation of the service, one more time I would like to show you whether my computer is in domain or workgroup. sysdm.cpl, if you type the command, it will take you to the system properties, the computer renaming option, and you see here my full computer name is RDC01, and the workgroup, if you look at, it is still in the workgroup and it is not in the domain. Okay, now if I run a command called lusrmgr.msc, local user manager.msc, I can see all my local users here if it is there. See, I can open this users, I can see there is a local administrator, see built-in account for administrating the computer. Okay, and you see some local accounts, and if you look at the groups, you see there are a couple of groups because this machine is still in the work group. Okay, so now what I will do, now I have make sure yes this computer is still in the work group. Okay, now what I will do, I will try to install the Active Directory domain controller role. Okay, so see, whenever you log into the any server, the option of the server manager, this server manager console will open. Like we install the DHCP, like we install the print server, we also need to use this server manager wizard and add roles and feature wizard to install the Active Directory domain controller role. Okay, so if you click on this add roles and features, it will be taken you to the installation wizard. Okay, if I just click on next option, as usual it gives you two options. One is role based or feature based installation, second one is remote desktop service installation. So I have to install a role because Active Directory domain services ADDS is a role. So I will click on the first option and then I'll click on next, and here it is showing you the information of the server. Yes, my server is an RDC01. It is having an IP address this 192.168.190.30, and it is in server 2019. It's a data center evaluation version. Yes, it is correct. I did validation quick check, and then I am taking you to the next screen. Okay, here we have all the roles. See, select one or more roles to install the install on the selected server. Now I told you, now my virtual machine, my server is still in the workgroup environment, and I want to convert it workgroup into a domain. So then what is the service that I have to install? Which role is should get installed in order to promote a domain controller, guys?
Active Directory domain service.
Yep. We need to install Active Directory domain services. And you see here there are multiple Active Directory things are there. Okay, you need to understand what each role does. The first one is Active Directory certificate service. So you have print server, file server, you also have the certificate server. Certificate server means that is a service which ensure the applications are communicated by encrypting securely. That is responsible for, that is the work of an Active Directory certificate service, where you can generate the certificate, where you can renew the certificate, and that is a separate service. That is a security related service, which is Active Directory domain services, and for us it is not required now. Second one is Active Directory domain services. You see here, Active Directory domain services stores information about the objects and on the network and makes this information available to users. And network administrator, ADDS, uses domain controllers to give the network users access to permit the resource anywhere in the network. The same thing. So we wanted to install Active Directory domain services role, and the role which is required for us is the second one only. I can click on that Active Directory domain services and I can click on next. So before click on next, you see this Active Directory Federation service, lightweight directory access service. These are all the additional services related to the Active Directory but not related to the domain controller. So in our case, we only need this Active Directory domain services because we are going to create the domain. That is the reason we need to install the domain services. Okay. So select the second option and click on next. Now, if you look at the back side, I have only selected the Active Directory domain services. But when you look at the DNS, I have not selected. See, it is unchecked. It is not checked. Okay, I have only selected the Active Directory domain services, but I have not selected the DNS. Let me show you how automatically the Active Directory will install the DNS. Okay, so I'll click on next. And I told you Active Directory will help you to apply the group policies, and that is the reason, see, this group policy management got automatically checked in. And I'm just clicking on next. Next. Now I need to install it. So this will take about a minute. It's starting the installation now. The installation started on RDC01, which is my root domain controller. Why it is RDC? Because this is the very first domain that I'm creating in order to convert my work group into a domain environment. And that is the reason this RDC01 is my root domain controller, because this is my very first domain controller in the estate. Okay, so let us wait for this to complete. Any question meantime? See, as soon as you are starting installation, you got this notification here. See, a feature installation is going on. Installation started. Okay. So as soon as this gets finished, there in the notification bar, you will get an additional options. Okay. Because now we are just installing, but we are not promoting. I'm just making sure that particular Active Directory domain services role is getting installed or it get installed. Okay, later what we can do, we can promote the domain controller, and I'll show you how to do that in few minutes. The installation still going on. Normally it will take 1.5 minutes max. It depends on the compute configuration, how much CPU and how much memory you have, because the computer performance always depends on the CPU and memory, not on the storage. Yeah, storage also matters. If you have standard SSD or premium SSD, it will be super speed. If you have standard HDD, the hard disk drive, obviously it is very very slow, 3 times faster. The SSD is two times faster and 2 3 times costlier than the HDD. Okay. See, if you look at now, the installation is completed. It says configuration required, installation succeeded on RDC01, and it is giving you just below in the blue color letters. See here, promote the server to a domain controller. Means you have just installed the role, but you have not configured the domain controller. Okay. See, if you go to the tools now, before you create the Active Directory, if you go to the Active Directory users and computers, see it says to manage users and groups on this computer, use local users and groups to manage the users groups computers in a domain, log on as a domain administrator. That means in this computer we are still just install the Active Directory domain controller role, but we have not promoted. That is the reason you still see local users and groups. As soon as you converted this computer or work group into a domain, this local users and groups will go off from here. Okay. Now let me show you how to do that. So now if you click on this notification symbol, this flag symbol, information symbol is there, click on that and you see promote this server to a domain controller. Means my computer is still in work group. I am going to convert this to a domain or promote this to a domain. Let me click on promote this server to a domain controller. From here it is very very important. Please concentrate. As soon as I click on promote this server to a domain controller, okay, then you see these three options populated here. Okay, the first option is add a domain controller to an existing domain. What does that mean? Add a domain controller to an existing domain. What is the meaning of it, guys? Are you guys follow me?
So
Yep. What is the meaning of it?
the machine which is already in domain,
Yeah, means there is already a domain and you are adding another domain controller, correct na? See, add a domain
yes, sir.
controller to an existing domain means add, if you want to add a domain controller for an existing domain, click the first option. But in our case, do we really have a domain now?
No,
We are still in the work group. We don't have any domain. Then the first option is invalid, isn't it?
yes,
Then now let us move on to the second option. The second option says add a new domain to an existing forest. If you look at that pyramid symbol yesterday I've written, there you had three domains. One is contest.com, another one is east.contest.com, the third one is west.contest.com, and the overall forest was contest.com. So in our case, do we already have a domain, sorry, forest with us? Do we already have a forest with us? No, we don't have any forest with us because this is our very first domain controller. We are still in the work group. Now we are going to promote this work group into the secure domain environment. Then even the second option is also invalid. Now let us go to the third option. See, if you look at the third option, it says add a new forest. That means yesterday I told you the very first domain will also act as a domain and we will also call that as the forest. The very first. That is the reason that contest.com was the first domain. When you create east and west contest.com, the forest name was contest.com only. Okay. Now let me create a new domain. Okay, let me create a new forest that will also act as a domain now. So let me create microsoft.com. Imagine you like to work in Microsoft. Okay, microsoft.com. This is your domain. Correct, na? Microsoft.com. I'm going to create Microsoft.com, or if you want to create any other domain, I'm okay to create. Okay. So let me create Microsoft.com, and I'm clicking on OK. You need to specify like this only your root domain name. Domain name means you should have both prefix and suffix. If you simply write Microsoft, it is not a domain. If you simply write Google, it is not a domain. You have to write either Microsoft.com, Microsoft.in, Microsoft.org, or Google.com, google.in, like that. Both you should have prefix as well as suffix. Okay, so then only it will become a fully qualified domain name. A fully qualified domain name means it's FQDN. It has got both prefix and suffix. So let me click on next now. Yeah, now it is giving me some additional information. It is telling me what is your forest functional level, what is your domain functional level. See here, I have only one domain controller, okay, with 2019. So 2019 can work with forest functional level 2016. It means if you have any other domain or any other child domain, or if you want to establish the trust between any other domain, so if you keep 2016, you can even have the communication between the lower environment as well, like 2012 to 2019, 2012 to 2016. So the Active Directory can speak to each other, and that is the reason the FFL, the forest functional level, and the domain functional level are in 2016. You can change it to 2019. See, 2028. You can, sorry, 2008, 2008, 2012, and 2016 also can be changed. Okay, and see the domain name system. Do you want to continue this as a domain name? See, I have not selected this one, but it automatically selected. I told you, na, DNS will get automatically installed. That is why the Active Directory promotion itself automatically selected this one, and I need to enter some password. This is called the directory service restore mode password. We also call it as DSRM password. So you can just give some password at the rate 123, password at the rate 123. So this password is required. Like we have a recycle bin in the computer, in the Active Directory also you have the recycle bin. Means if you have deleted something accidentally, you can even recover that object. So in order to recover that object, you need to go to, or you need to log into one mode called DSRM mode. When the computer is getting power on, if you press F8, the function 8 key, you see last known good configuration, and safe mode and all. So there in the domain controller, you will get one more option called disaster service, sorry, directory service restore mode. You can select that and you can go to that mode, and from there you can restore the deleted object. In order to log into that mode, you need to enter this password. Okay, even if you forgot this password, no problem, we can reset it. It is not very crucial. Okay, so I have entered the password and I'm clicking on next. I'm not talking anything about the DNS because it automatically gets installed. And you see here, it is showing me the NetBIOS name. My fully qualified domain name is Microsoft.com, and the NetBIOS name is Microsoft, simply Microsoft. So when you have both prefix and suffix, then only we call it as domain, and that is called as fully qualified domain. If you don't have .in, .com, .org, .private limited, .ltd, we will call that as NetBIOS name. NetBIOS means it is network basic input output services or system, the name. Okay, so I'll click on next. Yes, I'm good with this. Now it is showing me the Active Directory database file where to store. You see here, specify the location of the Active Directory domain services database, log files, and sysvol. If you remember, yesterday I was talking about this ntds.dit, that is the Active Directory database file. The NTDS means it new technology directory services, and sysvol also I told. Sysvol is system shared volume. Okay, so we are good. This is by default with the C colon Windows NTDS, and in the inside that there is a file called ntds.dit. Okay, so I don't have to change anything because it should be default. So I'm clicking on next. And now I'm doing a quick validation. So whether all the prerequisites which are needed in order to promote the domain controller are met or not. See, now it says all the prerequisite checks passed successfully, so we are good. There is nothing pending. I'm good. So I can promote this domain controller. Now, if I click on install, you see all the steps, whatever we have selected, it will get start acting. See, now the progress. If you look at the progress, it says starting. Please closely look here. You will see all the things whatever we have selected, it will just see waiting for the DNS installation to finish, means it is now installing the DNS. That's what I told you. Without the DNS, AD will not work, and that is the reason first and foremost it is doing the installation of the DNS only. See, and waiting for the DNS server. See, group policy management console needs to be installed, correct? See, configuring the local and see the database partitions. See, schema partition, configuration partition, application partitions, and all I told you. See, the partition creation is happening now. See, creating. It won't take much time. It will only finish less than 1 minute. Even the promotion also the same time it will take. Okay, and after that, see the Kerberos policy it is creating. After that, it gets restarted. I mean, once the Kerberos policy is created and little other configurations are there, it will just finish it up, and then it will tell need to restart the computer in order to see it is done. The server was successfully configured as a domain controller. You are about to be signed out. Okay, it automatically restarts my computer. Now, once the virtual machine is back online, the look and feel will be changed now. Earlier it was only telling administrator. Now it will tell you Microsoft slash administrator. Okay, that means this computer is now got converted or promoted as a domain controller. It will take some time because first time when the system gets restarted after the domain controller promotion, it will take 2-3 minutes because it that should set all the registry and required DLL changes. So and all the policy settings, consoles configuration, everything will happen now. Yeah, it is now completed. Let me log into the computer. If I right click on this RDC01 and send control alt delete, if I select, you see my computer look and feel got changed now. Earlier it was only giving me like my administrator, but now it is telling me I am the administrator of the Microsoft account. See, Microsoft slash administrator is there. Now my local account which I was using na, like just administrator and the password, that got converted into the domain account. So the same password I can use password at the rate 123 and I can log in now. So as soon as I log in, if I try to open the local user manager, see here, CMD, if I go, if I open local user manager dot MSC, that console is now says, see, the local users and groups, the computer RDC01 is a domain controller. This snap-in cannot be used on a domain controller. Domain accounts are managed with the Active Directory users and computer snap-in. That means the local users and computer accounts, whatever was there, were there, they got promoted as the domain accounts, and whatever accounts you were able to see here, those can be managed at the Active Directory users and computer snap-in. So to do that, where you have to go? You have to go to tools, and here you see multiple Active Directory related informations. See Active Directory Administrative Center, Active Directory Domain Centers, Active Directory modules for PowerShell, sites and services, users and computers. You 90% of the time you spend the time here in the Active Directory users and computer, the same snap in which the notifications told you. Okay, if I open this Active Directory users and computer, you can see a newly built domain called microsoft.com. You can see here. Okay, and if we click on the users, you see that administrator account which I have created in my local machine, that got created here, and that has become the built-in administrator to the computer or domain. See, he has become the domain administrator. Okay, so this is how we, you know, create a domain. Okay, so to be sure how to, I mean, whether it is created or not, if you go to the tools, you see multiple options. See Active Directory, Administrator Center, Domains and Trust, Modules for PowerShell, Sites and Services, Users and Computers, ADSI, Edit. So if you see all these options along with this Group Policy Management console, that means this got converted successfully. Okay, so to show you that, I can even go to the command prompt here and type sysdm.cpl. This will tell now this is not in the work group, this is in the microsoft.com domain. So that means we are very much good. My work group environment has got converted into a secured domain environment today. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me log into this Windows 10 computer and try to domain join this computer, and I'll show you how to domain join today. So from tomorrow onwards, other things can be taken up. Last 5 minutes, let this machine gets on. So this W10 Windows 10 machine is in work group. I would like to add, I don't know, add that, I don't know, join the Windows 10 machine to the newly built domain called microsoft.com. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, now my Windows 10 is ready. Let me go and log into that computer. Log in as Sanju, password at the rate 123. Okay, yeah, I'm able to log into this computer now. Let me go and check whether this machine is in work group or what. Okay, sysdm.cpl. If I see, this machine is still in the work group, it seems. Yes, this is still in the work group. Okay, now I would like to domain join this machine. Okay, uh, to this newly built domain. If I go to the computer object, see here, you don't have any computer. Okay, and if you look at the computer name of the Windows 10, see the computer name is host name. If you look at, it is Bangalore-admin-laptop 01. So we are good. So what I will do now, I need to make sure whether the DNS. Okay, let me try pinging. Ping 192.168.190.30. See, I'm able to talk to my domain controller, which is 192.168.190.30, which is my root domain controller IP address. Correct? IP address of this one is IP config. If you look at, see, 192.168.190.30. So I can talk to my domain controller from the Windows 10 machine. So I'm good. Communication is there. Let me verify the DNS address. ncpa.cpl. What DNS address is added in the network interface card, I'll verify. Ethernet 0. If I go to properties, IPv4, and if you see, this IP address is okay. 192.168.190.100 is there. Subnet mask is also fine. Default gateway is also fine. So preferred DNS address blank is there. Let me try without adding any DNS address if I'm able to domain join this machine. Okay, sysdm.cpl. You write one more time. Go to this computer name. Click on the change option. Now click on the domain option and add microsoft.com, and it says yes, and you see it is throwing an error. What is the error? An Active Directory domain controller ADDC for this domain microsoft.com could not be contacted. That means it is also telling ensure that the domain name is typed correctly. Yes, my domain name is correct. See, look at the spelling. It is Microsoft, microsoft.com. It is correct. Else, if the name is correct, click details troubleshooting information. See, I'm able to communicate with my root domain controller by using the IP address, and I can even verify the domain name is correct. So name is also correct, communication is also there, but still it says microsoft.com could not be contacted. So the problem is here, I told you, na, DNS means a domain naming system. So that will help you to see, we are all human beings. For us, it is easy to remember the names, but difficult to remember the numbers. Correct, na? So that is the reason what we have done. We have introduced a service called DNS. So what it will do, DNS will, we will create a name called Microsoft.com and we will assign an IP address there. So whenever we call the name, the IP address will be retrieved. So now it is trying to talk to the Microsoft.com, but there is no DNS server to help resolving this name to IP address, because computer will only understand numbers and we will understand the names. But here we are trying to retrieve via name, but there is no DNS ID here. If you look at ncpa.cpl, when you type microsoft.com, the server is trying to ask this person, DNS server. It is asking this DNS. It is trying to reach someone in the DNS and ask, do you know the microsoft.com? Here nobody is there. I have not given any server address who can help to resolve that name to IP address. And now what I will do, right, that 192.168.190.30, my domain controller, I've also installed the DNS there. So since that has also got the DNS that will work as a DNS server, then I can add the same IP address here in the DNS server, preferred DNS server. You can add multiple preferred alternative, many other you can add. At least one DNS server should be there. Okay. So let me come back here, properties. Let me add 192.168.190.30 and click on OK. Now if you just go back to the same option there, here, if you simply click OK and now click on OK, this will get resolved. This Microsoft.com will resolve to 192.168.190.30. See here, if I put command prompt ns lookup 192.160, sorry, Microsoft.com, you see, you are resolving this 192.168.190.30. How it is coming? That is coming because, see, this person called 192.168.190.30 is resolving this to me, because this is the same address I have added in the network interface card, and now this Microsoft.com is getting converted into 190, resolved into 192.168.190.30. So I will be good now. So adding the DNS address is very, very crucial, otherwise it won't work. So now click on OK and you see it got resolved and it will ask for the username and password. See? Yes. Now the communication is established because the DNS address is there. Let me put the administrator of Microsoft.com and password @123. Click on OK. Now my computer got domain joined. See? Welcome to the Microsoft.com domain. Okay, it get restarted. Restart now. And if you go to the domain controller RDC01, In the computer option, if you refresh, that computer object will be created here. See, that computer object, which is my Bangalore -admin -LT01, got created here. So all the computers will come and sit in this computer view. You can segregate, okay, how many are from Bangalore, how many are from Hyderabad, by creating the folders. Okay, you can create the OU here, new organizational unit. You can create, okay, let me create here new organization unit. Right click on this, new organization unit, computers or Hyderabad. Okay, and now under that computer OU, you can create one more OU to keep the Bangalore or no Hyderabad computers. See, under the computer OU you have multiple OU, Bangalore, Hyderabad. So you can move this Bangalore computer to that particular OU under the computer OU, and you see Bangalore, I have moved it. Now if you go to the Bangalore here, you see the computer called Bangalore admin laptop 01 is there in the Bangalore OU. Now if you want to control all the Bangalore computers, just go to the server manager here and go to group policy management here, group policy management, and you see that OU here. If you click on forest, if you click on domains, if you click on domain expand, you see the newly built OU, the computer OU is there here now. See, computer OU is there. Under that you see Bangalore and Hyderabad. If you want to, say for example, if you want to disable command prompt or pen drive in all the Bangalore computer, just right click, create a new policy, and just define the setting. Within 30 seconds all the computers will be blocked with the USB or the command prompt. That is how easy it is. Okay, that is how this Active Directory will help us to create the group policies and stuff. Okay, so we will discuss that tomorrow. Now let me show you that Windows 10. Let me log into Windows 10, Control Alt Delete. Now I cannot log into Sanju. I have to log in as administrator Microsoft. Okay, administrator @microsoft.com. You can log in like this, or you can even log in as Microsoft/administrator. Microsoft/administrator, password @123. See, now if you look at after login, this computer will be there in the domain. Okay, and tomorrow I'll show you how to grant access to the computer and the applications. From there we can start other activities as well. So this is first time, right? So it is taking some time to prepare the computer and create the profiles. Any questions, guys? I can take some questions if you have before this uh, gets completed.
No, sir.
Yeah, this is completed. Okay, now if I go to command prompt, if I go to command prompt and type sysdm.cpl, and you see your computer is in the domain, it is not in the workgroup. See, it is added to the domain. And if you look at the computer name, it is not now, it is just not simply Bangalore admin lt01. It is having a fully qualified domain name, which is your computer name dot microsoft.com. See, so this is how you do the domain joining of a computer. Okay. I think with that we can just stop it here. Tomorrow I'll show you the other capabilities of how to create the organizational unit, how to create the users, how to grant access to this Windows 10 computer for a domain users. Okay, and how to unlock the user account, how to reset the password, how to apply some groups membership. All those things I will show you in the tomorrow's class. So this week class is very very important, guys, so please don't miss the class. Okay, thank you. Let me stop the recording then.